What is going on, guys? I'm back. It's been a minute. Yes. So, behind me, I've got my new to me car. I had a Saab 92X for a minute that I had for like 3 months that I got not running and driving. Got it running and driving enough. And then threw it up for sale on Facebook. And got offered this Miata. Now, I used to not like Miatas and I used to hate on Miatas because I thought they were girly. Well, after taking a rip for this and doing the test drive, I fell in love. So, that brings us to today's video. Now, it's just an 02 Miata, nothing crazy. It's got the NB2. We got a cobalt intake right here. Aftermarket header. I don't know what the header is, to be quite honest with you. I do know it had the EGR tube cut. So for me to mitigate that, I mean, you can't really see it, I'm sorry. But it's back over there. So what I did, since it was cut for this header, I actually had a piece of tubing that was the same ID and the same OD. So I cut it to just a tad bit longer, like maybe like 50 thousandths longer than what the distance was. I stuck it in a piece of silicone tubing, put 2 hose clamps on each side, and put it in between both the pipes. And that has been working out better than when I took just a piece of high temp rubber tubing and just threw it in there, because every single day I'd have to do this. Like, I would drive it to work and then bam, it would burst right through it. Big, huge exhaust leak. Annoying. So since I put in that little freaking piece of metal ID tubing or piping there, and put the silicone tube over it and clamped it down, it's actually been pretty good. So maybe this could be a new solution to that whole entire problem with aftermarket headers. I don't know yet. I guess I'll be a test on me, because I checked on all the forums and nobody really has like an option on how to get around that. Normally people just say delete them, but I kind of want the system working as is. I still need to learn a lot more about these platforms. But that being said, NB2 Miata 02. It's got the whole sport suspension and all that stuff. The previous owner gave me new rotors and pads and stainless steel brake lines in the back of the car when he gave it to me. So yesterday, and this morning before I went to work, right now it's 1 a.m. I just got out. I've been pretty much just swapping the brakes over. It's been really hard to find, brake calipers, because this has a sport suspension. So it has slightly bigger pistons or slightly bigger calipers. And the only difference is like the piston size by like just a little bit. And to find those, it was impossible. So I called multiple stores. I needed a left front and I needed a right rear. And yes, I'm going to replace the other two, so don't worry if anybody's going to blast me about it and be like, oh, you need to replace all 4 then. Well, yeah, I know that. But the thing is at the time being, I just wanted to be able to drive to work. So, basically, I found one in Bristol at O'Reilly's, and I found the other one at Advance Auto in Middletown. But they had to get it from the warehouse, so realistically it was at the warehouse in North Haven. So I had to travel all around. Napa said they had them in stock. I went and picked them up. They were the completely wrong ones. They were the smaller ones that wouldn't work. Now I have the correct ones in here. And I still have to re-bleed the system because the pedal is a little bit soft still. I know that bleeder on the passenger side front was giving me problems, so I'm 90% sure that that's the caliper that has a bad bleeder, which I have another bleeder for it, so I'll just swap it out. No problem. And re-bleed them all, because I have a little hand pump bleeder. 10 out of 10 recommend you get one. Anyways, more about the car. It's relatively clean, minus this quarter right here. And then a little bit of rust up on the front fender, nothing crazy. A couple dings and dents. I mean, it's a slightly older car. Never expected it to be perfect. It does have a slightly new soft top. It's about, I don't know, I think he said it was like a year old, previous owner said. So yeah, I mean, it runs and drives really well. It does have a couple bent rims on it, so I got to replace these. But I mean, this side is really clean, minus that. But other than that, nothing crazy. Undercarriage, very clean actually. Underneath, it's really clean, very spotless. I was very happy to see that. Minus one section in the rear, there's like, just like, I don't know if it's cover or whatnot or whatever it is. I need to figure it out because I would like to replace it eventually. But it's like, there's just a bunch of stuff bolted to it. Nothing crazy, like detrimental, but it's just, there's like a hole in it. And it's like small sheet metal basically. I'm pretty sure it's a cover for something, probably a cover for the gas tank most likely. So I gotta replace that. And then besides that, really debating what I want to do with this car. I mean, I've been dailying it. I'm getting about like 27, 28 miles per gallon on 93 because apparently this takes 93. I didn't know. I mean, it says it right on the gas door, but nonetheless. So in it, this is the LS model, so it's got the leather interior. It's not in the greatest of shape. I mean, there's a hole there. The driver's seat ripped down there when I was sitting in it the other day. It is a 6-speed, so it does have a new short throw in it, or a new shift assembly in it, so that's cool. I just put that radio in it. Luckily, Best Buy had everything I needed. They had the whole entire bezel here, and then they had the adapter harness, so I could do that. But it does have the nice Nardi steering wheel. I do have the Nardi shift knob with it. It's a little bit beat up. Honestly, I've never had a convertible before, and I really like it a lot. Yeah. But that's the point. Personally, I never liked Miatas before. I always hated on them. Never really had like a reason to. More or less, I was just like, yeah, girls drive Miatas, so I got behind that clique, And after I test drove it, I was like, damn, I see what the hype is about now. Austin knows a lot more about these things than I do, so I'll be kind of asking him questions here or there, and obviously looking stuff up on my own. But so far, I can definitely tell you I like this car a lot. When I got it, the brakes were not that great right off the rip, so he gave me all the new brake pads and everything like that, and the rotors. So I swapped all of that stuff out, found the calipers being bad and whatnot. So I replaced those two. I know I'm gonna have to replace this clutch soon. It's got 157,000 miles on the chassis. Nobody knows. Well, the previous owner didn't know if the clutch was done. I'm assuming it's gonna need to be done. It feels like crap. I've gotten used to it. And me driving this versus having to drive my Legacy to get parts the other day, it was night and day difference. It was crazy how different both these cars are. I will say, with this thing, the turning radius is a lot better and the steering is a lot more sharp than the Legacy. So like, being able to drive it and understand why some of these cars on the track are doing so well versus my own driving and like what I built, like I understand it now. And I was kind of like, well, damn. I mean, for me to get my Legacy on to this kind of a level where it handles just as good as this, it's going to take a lot of work. So for the Legacy, I'm ordering Fortune 500 coilovers because my coilovers were smoked. I was hoping that wasn't going to really be my problem when it came down to like the understeer and whatnot, but thinking more about it, most of those turns were right-hand turns, and I was putting all the weight on the front left, and I knew that coil was not doing so great. I know it's blown, but I was hoping that adjusting the dampening a little bit and it would kind of bring it back to life a little bit, but I'm just fooling myself. So the big plan for that thing is JT from Torx here. He gave me a twin scroll setup. So he gave me the header, the up pipe with an external wastegate port or bung setup, and then the down pipe, so I can get a VF38 or a TD04L and put that in the Legacy, sell the VF52, and then sell the down pipe. Well, I can't even sell the down pipe, the flange is bent, because when I put it on the trailer last track day, it bent pretty badly when the exhaust got caught, so it was pretty sad. But so the plan with that is Fortune 500 coilovers. I'm gonna get shorter sidewall tires. I want to do Cusco undercarriage braces to tie the front control arms to the actual unibody. and then do the same thing for the rear along with the rear diff brace, so that way all that's situated and set up and going to be really stiff for next year. I am going to go twin scroll because I need more low end power. I still need to do the timing assembly, belt and stuff like that on there, and then I'm going to do a pickup tube and a baffle and a pan, so that way I could be really set for next year and not really slack too much. In reality, I'm going to kind of take it like one step at a time. I think coilovers I'll do first, although that should really be the least thing on my priority list. Realistically, I should be putting the timing belt and then the oil pan and pickup stuff first. But I don't plan to drive this car at all this winter. Maybe take it out for a couple occasions, like, you know, if we do another cruise or something like that, like we did the other day. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I should just do that stuff ahead of time. I don't know. Yeah. So right now, the Miata's back in here today because I need to re-bleed the brakes on it. They're very spongy after I had bled them. Like I said, the bleeder must have gotten stuck. So yeah, there's that. As for this thing, which I know looks like we're just putting stuff on top of it because, you know, air filter. Anyways, he did bring about a bunch of parts by. So we got the white line arms. He's got the ACT clutch here finally. And then we got that intake manifold, you know. So we got all that situated. I didn't really think about it at first when I told him to grab this manifold. We should have had him grab a diff of the Crawford one probably because of the way the turbo is, but I know how to mitigate this. I'm basically going to take the turbo and just rotate the compressor housing upwards, so that when the front mount gets set up, it's going to be facing vertical, so that way the piping will come up and over through here and then be able to come down to the front and whatnot, and then we could be able to use this manifold to its potential, because I really like this manifold a lot, how it spaces everything out. And then we can kind of tuck and hide the wiring harnesses and stuff like that underneath here, behind or beneath all of the freaking you know, alternator, all that crap over here. So there's that. And then I had to figure out how to plug the coolant port on the back of that, because that turbo does not use coolant, it uses only oil. So I needed to figure out what to do about that. It was a pain in my neck. Finally figured it out. There's a plug I have to use from the actual block itself, so I have to order that from Subaru. Right now we're about to get ready to do the rear subframe on this, because, you know, we needed to get the hardware in and we were struggling to get the hardware, so we finally got it all. So now we have to do that. It's just been hard because I started my new job and Austin's been dealing with his job stuff, so we really need to get underway on it. But that's the plan. You know, as for what we're going to be doing with the Miata, whether it's going to stay a daily or become a track car, I was thinking about maybe just getting another car to have as a daily, because I got the truck to tow everything to the, you know, to the track with. I got the Legacy as a track car, but this thing handles so well, and I, you know, really didn't have too much money invested in the Saab. I was thinking about just making this a shop track car that everybody can go out and have fun with, because these things are pretty reliable, and, you know, this motor's pretty healthy. So really been debating on what to do realistically. I know I should just keep nailing it for a while, which is what I'm going to do. Austin wants me to drift it this winter. We'll see. We'll see. Probably will, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's the scoop. The new Miata, the cop of the day. We're definitely gonna be painting that. I might get a new intake intake plenum here and replace this whole entire setup, because it's looking a little janky. It's only stock, so, you know. And then there's my rag there from me spilling all the brake fluid the other day, or yesterday actually. So yeah, a little bit of stuff here and there. I mean, this thing had like a wiring harness that was chewed up for the cam position sensor actually, and I was wondering why I was running so funny sometimes, and then like that was like the reason. Overall though, 10 out of 10 recommend one of these NB2s. They're actually pretty sick. And I'm surprised I'm saying that, because I've never liked Miatas. But that being said, like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more content. We'll have plenty of stuff coming up sometime soon, because I mean, now's the season where we start changing our cars for the winter. so we have all this time to prep for the next season, because obviously next year my track days are going to be way more plentiful, because that's like one of my goals for next year is to just start doing track stuff and take it more seriously and really try to improve my driving, because I actually would really like to get to grid life one day. We'll see how it works out. You know, that's just like a goal of mine. I would really love to get on grid life. That's a goal. But I need to become a better driver before I can do that. I already know I need to improve. I need to improve the car, because I can only correct understeer so much. So anyways, I'll say it again. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Peace.